Have you ever met someone who thought being spiritual meant looking or acting a certain way? And if you don't share their beliefs, then you're not so spiritual? Let's talk about that. I'm Lawan. Welcome to Uncover Your Authenticity. Today, I want to share a couple of experiences that really shaped how I understand spirituality and why authenticity and presence matter more than appearances. When I first joined the Gay Men's Chorus, it wasn't just about singing. It was a community, a place where people brought their voices, their stories, their harmonies. Early in the season, I met a man, let's call him Chandra. He was white and bald, obviously not Hindu. So I gathered that his name was a spiritual name. During a break, I asked him about it, and he told me that he'd been part of a spiritual community. And I also shared a bit about my experiences in the ashram. We had a pleasant conversation, but rehearsals were really busy and he sang in a different section than I did. So we didn't really connect much after that. Still, I remembered him. Later that summer, the chorus hosted a pool party before the fall term. There wasn't much food, just Subway sandwiches and some drinks. So I grabbed an Italian combo and sat by the edge of the pool with my legs in the water. Chandra was swimming nearby. He looked at me and said, "Loan, what are you eating?" I said, "An Italian combo." He looked again and said, "Yeah, but why?" And I said, "I'm hungry." Then with this clear tone of disgust, he said, "Yeah, but that?" I looked right at him and said, "What I eat doesn't make me more or less spiritual. And you need to stop judging me for what I choose to eat." He said quickly, "Oh no, I'm not judging you." And I replied, "Yes, you are. And spirituality isn't determined by what I eat or even necessarily by what we do. It's about how we do it and the consciousness we bring to ourselves and to the world." He got quiet. And for a moment, there was just this silence between us, small on the surface, but full of meaning underneath. That moment stayed with me. And a couple of years later, I was having a conversation that revealed the same kind of perspective, just in a different form. I was talking to somebody about spirituality, and he asked, "Oh, so do you go to Unity Church?" I said, "No, I went once, but Unity reminds me too much of Catholic Church, and I went a different way. I didn't really like Catholic Church for myself." And he looked surprised and said, "And you say you're spiritual, but you don't go to Unity Church?" And it hit me again how people often associate spirituality with belonging to a group or following a set of rules and rituals, as if being spiritual needs a label or a building to make it real. But the truth is, there are many people who use their religion, philosophy, or way of life as a kind of weapon to hit others over the head with it, so to speak. They judge anyone who doesn't align with their beliefs or who lives differently than they do. Sometimes they don't even see that in trying to be spiritual, they're falling into the same old trap of judgment and superiority, just dressed in different clothing. What I want to point out is that true spirituality and real authenticity is about acceptance. It's about recognizing that every person has their own way of experiencing life, of expressing their spirituality, of discovering truth. Because we're all different. Each of us has a unique path, a different resonance, and a personal rhythm to how we awaken. I remember Maya saying that what we do, even if it looks completely ordinary to the outside world, isn't what determines its spiritual value. It's the consciousness we bring to it. Washing the dishes, taking a walk, having a conversation, working toward a goal, none of these things are inherently spiritual or unspiritual. What matters is the presence, attention, and essence we bring to them. When we're fully present while washing the dishes or walking mindfully or giving someone our undivided attention, we infuse that moment with consciousness. Our inner essence merges with the activity. And even though from the outside it may look ordinary, the inside of us, the awareness we bring, is what transforms that experience into something sacred. The truth is, authenticity doesn't always look spiritual. Sometimes it looks messy. Sometimes it looks human. True spirituality isn't about belonging to a specific place or following a rule book. It's about the consciousness, honesty, and presence we bring to life. Because real spirituality doesn't need to prove itself through appearances, behavior, or affiliation. It lives quietly in how we treat others, how we see ourselves, and how we choose to bring awareness into every moment. So now, whenever I meet someone who thinks spiritual growth has to look a certain way, I think back on those conversations and I smile. Because real spirituality doesn't come from the outer world. It doesn't need to prove itself. It simply is. It lives in how we show up, how we treat others, and how conscious we choose to be, even in the most ordinary moments. Thank you so much for watching and for sharing this time with me. If this message resonated with you, I'd love for you to leave a comment and share your thoughts. And if you haven't already, subscribe to Uncover Your Authenticity for more stories and insights on living with greater presence, honesty, and self-awareness. See you next time.